What's going on, everybody? This is Patty with FC Explained. So today I'm going to make a video on how to take a good first touch. A lot of people have messaged me saying that they're struggling with taking first touches and not necessarily just taking a first touch to keep the ball, but also taking a first touch to help progress with the attack. So that's what this main video's topic is going to be. So yeah, let's get straight into it. All right, so when I take a first touch while I'm playing, right, the main thing that I want to think about is where is the pressure coming from? So if I were to pass the ball to this guy here, obviously the pressure is coming from here. So I don't want to take a touch that is within or outside of this sort of like half circle, right? So because if I take a touch that goes like up here, he can win the ball or he can bruiser me, he can do whatever, right? The point is we're exposing the ball. So what I want to do is take a first touch that's sort of in this direction, right? Somewhere in this sort of like half circle, like I said before, right? We want to kind of just go in this direction. And also we want to use L2. Now, you don't necessarily need to hold L2 every time you take a first touch. The only time I would use L2 is when the pressure is right up against you, like so in this situation. But the main thing is we just want to take a first touch into the open space. Now, is that open space always going to be opposite from the opponent? No, you're going to run into opponents that try to predict your first touch back. And in that case, you have to actually let the ball run and take a first touch forward. But notice how forward is still away from the pressure, right? I'm still going away from where the ball is, right? So we always want to take a first touch away from pressure. Now, I will elaborate on this a little bit and say most of the time that you're in your build-up, the best time to take your first touch is always back towards your own goal, because it's really easy to just take your first touch that way, because most likely that will always be the direction that's open. And then you can also just work around, go up or down, right? But always take your first touch away from goal. But like I said, there are instances where if you run into good players that are very good at anticipating passing lanes or your movements in general, right? If it's later in the game and they've learned some of your tendencies, sometimes you just have to let the ball run and take a touch forward, just because that's what we really need to do here. And that's what he's giving you, right? So I have a clip or two. I think I have one or two clips, and I'm just going to show you why or how I take those first touches and what the significance of them have in terms of building up correctly. So yeah, let's get straight into the first clip. All right, so in this clip here, I have a throw-in, right? And I'm going to throw this ball to Bale. And I notice right away that the space is in front of him and the pressure is coming from somewhere behind him to his right, right? So notice, right, when I throw it to him, my first touch is in the opposite direction of the momentum of the player that is applying pressure to me, right? If I take my first touch in this direction, he can bruiser me or get close enough to attempt to actually take the ball. So I take my first touch into the space over here because now I can build up and we can formulate some sort of attack, right? So if I let this play through a little bit, notice, right, my first touch here, pressure's from behind me and we want to still progress the attack. I have space around Eusebio so I can actually face forward because he's not applying pressure here. If Militao was here when I received the ball, I would have taken my first touch this way and then tried to play up to Griezmann. But notice the pattern here, right? Every time I take a first touch, it's away from where the defender is. So look, if we play it, right? Trigger Bale, right? First touch is still straight just because I want him to not fully commit to the pass yet. I still want him to have to mark Bale a little bit. And then I sweat it to Griezmann and we score, right? So, like I said, the key thing is if we start from the beginning here, look, notice the pressure. He's coming this way and I can't exactly turn, right? So I noticed that. So I take my first touch in and then use Bale to pass into the space with Eusebio. Notice how like Bale is in space after the first touch. That's what we want. Every time we take a first touch, we should be in space because then that allows us to think, make a proper decision, or still formulate the momentum of a build-up, like in this case, right? Because if I go straight down the line, I lose the momentum because I lose the ball. So the main thing is we just want to take a first touch that lets us keep the ball, and we do that by taking a first touch away from the opponent. So that's pretty much the idea for this clip. I'll hop into a second one, and then I'll show you guys a little bit more in detail for how this really works. So I'll see you guys in the second clip. All right. So for this clip here, notice, right, when I pass the ball, notice how my left stick, I'll rewind it. So notice how with my left stick, right? Watch with Griezmann. Notice my left stick flicked away first, and then I aimed for the pass. That's because De Jong is right on Griezmann, and I need to go this way first before I play this pass, right? So it's the exact same thing. I took a touch away from the pressure, right? Notice, look at my left stick. My left stick is aimed to the left, which is away from De Jong. So it just takes a first touch that way, and then I can play Bale on the wing. And that allows us to, keep this attack going. Because if I take a touch and turn straight into De Jong, or if I turn up, I lose the ability to make this play happen. So look, watch. Same thing, look. With Bale as well. Look at the first touch from Bale. The pressure's from his right, so I take a touch into space to then progress the ball, right? Again, the key theme here is every first touch that I take is into space, whether it's away from the defender or, towards, it doesn't really matter. Like you guys saw with the last clip when Eusebio was on the center back. I had enough space in front of him, so I still took the first touch forward. But most of the time, it'll be away from the pressure just because, especially in build-up, it's tight spaces, and most people have on team press, stuff like that. So notice, right? Now, again, there's another example. The first touch is forward because I actually have space forward to play, right? And I've been triggering Job, so I actually want to play this ball through. And then look, see? We get an wide open lane, and we get the finesse. So, in summary, right? I won't keep this video too long because I think I've explained pretty much everything there is. So, what we want to do, right? Every time we take a first touch, it just needs to be away from pressure, and more importantly, because in case you don't have pressure, into space in the direction we want to go when we're attacking. So if we have pressure on us, we take the touch away, right? And sometimes we can hold L2 or LT, right? That's only if he's right up against you, and that just helps shield, right? So he doesn't get like a lucky bruiser animation or tackle back, right? But the key theme, like I said, we take a touch into space and we take the touch away from pressure. It just happens to be that most of the time when you're doing that, your best case scenario for taking a touch into space and away from pressure will be towards your own goal, right? But that's just coincidence. Most of the time, like I said, you saw in the clips, sometimes if I have space in front of me, I'll go forward. But like I said, key 2 points. Take the first touch into space and take the first touch away from where the pressure is coming from. And that's it. You guys do that, you're going to lose the ball less. You're going to be able to progress the ball way better. All right. So hopefully this video helps. If you guys are looking for one-on-one coaching, make sure to join the Discord down below. You guys can book either a free call or just book a straight up one-on-one session if you like the videos and you want to get coached directly by me. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys later. Peace.